Hello, boys and girls. We are going to read our read-along third grade Angels. Read along. Let me get that open. Okay. All right, so here's our third grade Angels. We've read chapters 1 through 5 so far. Okay. Chapter 6. It was true. It was amazing, I said at dinner. You're just having one amazing day after another, said Mom. What was amazing, said Zippernose. Zippernose is my sister. She's behind me in second grade. Other people call her Amy. She sneaked a pickle chip into my peanut butter and jelly sandwich on Saturday, so I'm not talking to her this week. Okay, said my dad. I'll ask. What was so amazing? Lots of stuff, I said. A lady's hat blew onto the playground, and we went after it like sharks after a piece of meat. You're a piece of meat, said Zippernose. Mom, I yelled. Bubba, my baby brother, laughed and babbled something. It's the weirdest thing. Whenever I get mad, he laughs. My parents understand his babble, but I don't. We, said my dad. Huh? I said. You said, we went after it like sharks. You were one of the sharks? I'm a cat, said Zippernose. She hates it when I get all the attention. I guess I was, I said, but it wasn't me that ripped the hat. Oh, did I skip a page? Nope, I guess not. I guess I was, I said, but it wasn't me that ripped the hat apart. My mother's eyes boggled. Ripped it apart? Good grief, what did the lady say? She called us little hoodlums. She got that right. And Mrs. Sims saw it all. Good. But I didn't rip it, I told them. There were too many hands in there. I couldn't even feel the hat. Accessory to the crime, said Dad. You were all equally guilty. My dad's a lawyer. I stabbed a green bean. That's what Mrs. Sims said. Even the kids who were just watching were guilty. Dad nodded. I like this teacher. I'm a cat, said Zippernose. I saw her reaching for the mashed potato spoon. I got there first. I dumped a spoonful on my plate. She reached for the spoon. I put it on the other side of the table. She screeched bloody murder. Mom! He always has to be first. He saw me reaching for the spoon and he grabbed it. Give her the spoon, said Dad. Zippernose's hand was wagging in my face. I stuck the spoon in the mashed potatoes. She went on whining. He just did it to make me mad. He doesn't even like mashed potatoes. I ignored her. Mrs. Sims was really mad, I said. She told us we were disgraceful. She said maybe nobody will get a halo this year. And you know what she said to Joey Peterson? The new kid who's not afraid of anybody, said Mom. Yeah, him. He laughed when she called us sharks, and know what she said? What? Said Zippernose. I didn't answer. What? Said Dad. She said, button it, Peterson. Dad grinned. I like this teacher. As I said before, I do a lot of talking in the tub to my mom. As for thinking, I do that in bed. And that's what I was doing, thinking about dinner and hearing Zippernose's words over and over. He always has to be first. It really bugged me because it's bad enough I have to hear her voice all day long in the house, but now I was hearing it in my own dark and private bed with the door shut and the lights out. It was like she shrunk herself and crawled into my ear, and now she was holding a megaphone and shouting across my brain, He always has to be first! He always has to be first! There was another reason why it bugged me, because she was right. I could never say it to anybody. I couldn't even say it to my mother from under the suds in the tub. In fact, until this night, I don't think I had ever said it to myself. But as soon as she had said it at the dinner table, I knew it was true, and it was about everything, not just mashed potato spoons. When us kids have races, I almost always win. If I don't, I feel bad. I mean, really bad. When we do art or writing in school, I'm always the neatest. The other kids come to my desk to see my stuff. My lines are straight, my letters are perfect. Even in first grade, I never colored outside the lines. Last year, my teacher said, "George, you may be the neatest person I've ever had." I almost never spell a word wrong. If I do, it bugs me for days. If I'm in the hallway heading for the bathroom and I see Zipper Nose coming from the other direction, I run to get there first. I can't help it. It's like everything is a race that I have to win. And now that's how I feel about getting a halo. I want to be first. I have to be first. 11. That's how many apples were lined up along the front of Mrs. Sims' desk, plus 2 pears, a banana, and a sandwich. And that's not counting Judy Billings' apple from yesterday, which Mrs. Sims took home last night, and one other thing, a gummy bear, a red one from guess who? One of the apples was from me. We sat in our seats staring at them. Mrs. Sims stared. We were remembering how mad she was when school ended yesterday. We were all flinching, waiting. And then it came. It started with a little wrinkle at her mouth. Then it went to her eyes. Then her whole face. Her cheeks bulged out like tennis balls. Her neck got ropey. Her hands shot to her mouth. Oh my gosh, I thought, she's gonna barf. I inched back in my seat. Sure enough, something exploded from her, but it wasn't barf. Whatever it wasn't just a mouth thing. It was a full body thing. She bent over like she had a stomach ache. She twirled away from us and wobbled to the front wall and stopped herself with her hand before crashing into it. When she turned back to us and took her hand away, I didn't recognize her face. It was blotchy and lumpy and red. Tears were coming down her cheeks. It was scary. Somebody peeped. Is she crying? Somebody else peeped. She's sick. Joey Peterson gave a snort. She ain't crying, dummy. She ain't sick. She's laughing. He was right. She was laughing. I never knew a teacher who could laugh so hard. Joey was chuckling to himself. The rest of us were a fishbowl of open mouths. Finally, she started to calm down and she took a deep breath. I looked around. A couple kids were smiling, so I did too. But I was still afraid to laugh out loud. I had a feeling this might be a trick. She pulled the tissue from her box of Kleenex. She wiped her eyes and cheeks. She took a long, deep breath. She picked up the sandwich. It was plastic wrapped. She stared at it. She held it out to us. Okay, she said. What is it? Billy Umberger spoke. Corned beef. Mrs. Sims nodded. It looked like she was ready to bust out again, but she took a deep breath. She sniffled. Okay, students. This has never happened before. I guess I wasn't ready for it. Sorry for losing my self-control there. Disgraceful example for my students. That's okay, Mrs. Sims. She turned to me and smiled because I was the one who said it. I kicked myself in the ankle. Thank you, George, she said. Go, Georgie, I heard Joey whisper. I want you to know, said Mrs. Sims. She put down the corned beef sandwich and stepped away from the desk so we could all see the lineup again. I want you to know how much I appreciate all this. She waved at it, but she still couldn't look at it. But I have to make something clear to you, very clear. Yes, you must earn your halo. But no, you may not buy your halo. I cannot be bribed. She looked us over. Can somebody tell me what a bribe is? One hand went up. Ian O'Harris. Yes, Ian. It means when you pay money to somebody to make them do whatever you want. Mrs. Sims nodded. Yes, good. Ian, with one correction. A bribe doesn't have to be money. A bribe can be, she waved at her desk, apples or pears or bananas or corned beef sandwiches. A couple kids laughed at that. Or, she picked up the candy, gummy bears. She studied it for a minute and then popped it into her mouth. Everybody laughed. Joey fist pumped. Yes! You can bring me an apple every day. You can bring me a banana split with cherries and hot fudge and whipped cream up to the ceiling. You can bring me, She threw out her arms. A new car! A new car! We laughed. But, her voice got lower and slower, you cannot bribe your way to a halo. She gave us her waiting to sink in look. So, how do you get your halo? The class called back. Earn it. Lesson learned, student angels. Yes. Okay, so stop putting your energy into bribes. Put your energy into being good, into doing good. Impress me, don't buy me. She rooted in a desk drawer and came out with a plastic bag. She dumped in the pears and the banana. She sniffed the sandwich. Corned beef, huh? Mr. Motto will like this. Mr. Motto is her dog. Into the bag went the sandwich. Mrs. Sims got another plastic bag and dropped in the apples. These, she said, will become my famous pink applesauce. All right, we're going to stop on chapter 8. Perfect. For our first work of the day, we started to learn cursive. The 26 letters, capitals and little ones, were written on a green tack across the top of the board. Our job was to copy the capitals, A to Z, 5 times each. I was super neat and careful. I kept the letters perfectly between the blue lines on the paper, except when they had to go below for the J, the Y, and the Z. Mrs. Sims walked around looking over our shoulders. When she stopped next to me, she tapped her finger on my desk and whispered, "Good." We did map reading. Mrs. Sims spun the big globe. She asked who could come up and point to the Indian Ocean. She called on Noah Jablonski. He missed it. He called on Deanna Briggs. Not even close. She called on me. I nailed it. In math, Mrs. Sims said by the end of the year, we're going to add and subtract numbers up to, she wrote it on the board, 10,000. How much is that? She said. Joey called out, 1,000,000. Mrs. Sims didn't even look at him. When you don't raise your hand, she ignores you. I raised my hand. She called on me. 10,000, I said. I was right. Mrs. Sims read us a story. It was about a city kid who spends his summer on a farm. When he came to a strange word, she stopped. The word was husbandry. Anybody know what husbandry means? She asked the class. Only one hand went up. Emma Feldman said, a married man. Wrong. Joey's hand shot up. 2 married men. Everybody laughed. I raised my hand. George, could I go to the dictionary and look it up? She smiled. Be my guest. I went to the dictionary. It sits on its own little table called a podium. Mrs. Sims spelled the word for me. I looked it up. I read aloud. On a farm growing crops and raising animals. A couple kids clapped. Joey whistled. Mrs. Simmons glared at him, but I could tell she wasn't really mad. In the playground, I did a nice thing. We chose sides for a basketball game. I was a chooser. I chose the best players until the last one. Then I chose Walter Giltner. Everyone was shocked, including Walter. Nobody ever chooses Walter. When he shoots the ball, forget about the basket. He can't even hit the backboard. When Walter got over the shock, he stuffed his glasses in his pocket and cried out, "Let's go!" I never saw a kid so happy and excited. It made me feel good. Mrs. Sims was at the fence talking to another teacher. I wondered if she saw what I did. At lunch, we had sloppy joes and a green vegetable, peas. 3 days a week, we have a green vegetable. I never take it. This time, I did. I was the only one at my table with peas. Joey picked one out of my dish and flicked it at Bernard Weber. Secretly, I hoped the other guy would dig in and start a big pea fight until there weren't any peas left. I ate my sloppy joe as slow as I could. I drank my chocolate milk, and still my dish was full of peas, minus one. Lunch hour was almost over. I gobbled them down. I tried not to taste. But on the way back to class, I felt good. I felt like an angel. That's how I felt for the rest of the day. As I walked out of the classroom, I said, "Goodbye, Mrs. Sims." She said, "Goodbye, George." And the way she smiled at me, it was like she was sending me a message. You were perfect today. I was first onto the bus. As we sat there, I replayed the day in my head. Mrs. Sims was right. I was perfect. I sat up straight in my bus seat. I looked out. I saw Mrs. Sims standing at her classroom window. I'm pretty sure she was looking at me. I'm pretty sure she was smiling. In a couple minutes, the bus was mobbed. Zipper Nose flopped into a seat right across the aisle from me. She had to lean forward because her pink backpack was so stuffed. She didn't look at me. She was gabbing away with some other second grader in the seat in front of her. It was the weirdest feeling when I realized I was looking at her. I never look at her, but I was. And that's when a really scary question came to me. Oh, we're going to have to stop there and see what that question's going to be that came to him. All right, I hope you're enjoying third grade angels. Keep checking into your daily reading assignment and your daily math assignment to find out what you have to do for this week. But I know that you're having fun listening to a new story, and we're going to finish this one up and start our big class read aloud for Charlotte's Web. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.